Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to cook a prime rib in the Convo Therm today. Hey, I'm Ted Speck. I'm a corporate chef here at Well Built. Today, we're going to do herb-crusted prime rib inside the Convo Therm 4 Combi oven. For this holiday recipe, we're going to need a good bone-in rib roast, some of your favorite herbs. Mine are actually sage, rosemary, thyme, garlic, and one of my favorite seasoning blends. Feel free to make your own. Generous, I might, because this is crusted, not rubbed. And then a Convo Therm combi oven. But what we're going to do now is going to roll some of that beautiful beef footage. So what we're looking at here is we have a 11 to 14 pound bone-in ribeye, some sage, garlic, seasoning blend. What we want to do with this, first of all, we're going to take our herbs, separate them all from the stem, then we can chop them all in our food processor. You can use whatever processor you want, whatever's on hand, or if you're really hardcore, you can just break out your chef's knife and go to town. Get some rough chopped garlic, get you a bowl, mix everything up, set it off to the side. Next thing we want to do is we want to take our prime rib, our rib roast, no matter how large it is, how small it is. What we want to do is just look at it, take a little bit of the fat off the fat cap, leaving about a 1/4 inch or so of fat on there. Flip it over, trim your rib bones off, and set them aside because we're going to put those back in the roast with the rib roast to make sure that we have some roasted bones that we can use for our jus. So when I get to rubbing the salt crust or the herb crust on top of your prime rib, you want to make sure you're rubbing it really good into the meat. And once again, be generous. This is a crust. This isn't just a rub. We want to get the sides, the bottom, all the way around it. And then what we want to do is we want to place that uncovered into our cooler or refrigerator for a minimum of 12 hours, preferably overnight if you do. What that's going to do is with the herbs, the salt mainly, the salt's going to pull some moisture out, work with some of the proteins, especially the myosin in the meat, help tenderize it a little bit, and then it's going to reabsorb all the juices into it. So it's going to provide a lot more juicy rib roast when you put it into the oven. So now we're ready to program our oven. From the home screen, I'm going to press the chef's hat. We're going to do this in convection. Now I don't need to worry about all this because the Convo Therm 4 has a fantastic feature under this plus icon. We see these low temperature cooking recipes. I have rare, medium, and well done. Well, what if I want medium rare? We're going to show you that right now. We go here to hot air rare, hit my check mark. Now basically my oven program is set. I don't really see it on the screen. I'm going to press this little button right here. It looks like it's got some steps and a 1. This is what shows up on the screen. I'll explain this a little bit before we start the preheat. So I'm going to start with, it's going to have 266 degrees for 10 minutes. That's kind of my sear phase. Then I'm going to move into my cool down phase, which I'm using Crisp and Tasty to help cool the oven down. It's going to cool down to a temperature of 131 degrees. Then I move into my slow and low phase. This is going to be my overnight cook, 131 degrees till an internal temperature of 118. And then it's going to go into a hold stage. 118 is a little too rare for me. So if I just simply press that, I can alter the temperature, and I'm going to bring that up to 125 at the check mark. Once I get done with that, I'm going to hit my green start bar. My oven's going to begin to preheat. So my preheat is done. So now using my 2-stage door handle, my disappearing door, I'm going to load the prime rib. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure I'm using my hand shower to cool down my core temperature probe so I don't get a false reading or sear the inside of the prime rib. So first thing I'm going to do is place my drip pan in. And I'm going to take my herb crusted prime rib, insert it right in the middle of the thickest part. Use my slam shut door. Now I'm going to go home, hit the rack, and dream of herb-crusted prime rib. We'll be back tomorrow to show you the results. Good morning. It is a new day, so I'm back. I was sleeping with my prime rib on my mind, got up this morning, made a run in the kitchen here. And so if we look at our controller, we see that I'm in my 4-stage. I'm in my hold mode at 114 degrees, 15 hours we've been holding. So from cook to hold to when I came in. So I didn't come in till later, then it would still continue to hold, or as I pull the rib out, if I wanted to put it back in and use it to hold while I was prepping everything else, or if I had an oven full of roast, I could continue to use it as a holding cabinet until I needed to use the oven again. So as I have the rib roast here, you can see I've still got a nice crust on it. If I wanted a heavier sear, I could either heat the oven back up, put it back into sear, or increase the initial sear time of the oven. But right now what I'm going to do is transfer my prime rib over to my serving tray, and then I'm going to take the ribs that I have. I'm going to throw those in the pan with my jus. I'm going to give that to Chef Sean so he can make some killer jus. So I'm going to take this plate over, and we're going to cut it up to show you some benefits of the Convatherm. So when you cook in the low temp cooking mode, you'll notice that as we trim the ends off the prime rib, I'm going to cut it in 3 sections. I'm going to cut each of the ends off, and I'm going to cut it in the middle. As I cut the end off, you can see from end to end, all the way through, it's a nice, even, consistent temperature with no bullseye effect. So that's the benefits of using the low temp feature in your Convatherm 4. So now that your centerpiece is done, everything else is just sides. Now I suggest you get out of the kitchen, unless you want to keep hearing me sing. I'm dreaming of a herb-crusted roast